CILEACU. I'm a journalist, and I have to introduce our panelists because we will be talking about the global food security and the Black Sea region. The guests today, our panelists today, are Svitlana KOVALCHUK, Executive Director, Yalta European Strategy. Online we'll have Mr. Taras Kachka, Deputy Minister of Economy from Ukraine. Here with us is as well Mr. Nawaf SALAMEH, Chairman of Alexandrion Group. And also online we will be joined by Sergiy KONONENKO, Director Regional Development Agency of Odesa region. Mrs. KOVALCHUK, I will start with you. Because we are talking about food, and food is a weapon. I would say that it's the most efficient weapon because we can have a lot of military equipment, but without food, nobody will survive. How bad is to weaponize food?
Cristina, thank you very much for your question. So unfortunately, nowadays we again have to deal with weaponization of food. It was, when we will look to history back, we had such experience many times, and for all Ukrainians are aware about the Holodomor, which was caused by Stalin, and it was a case when more than 3 million of Ukraine died through caused Holodomor. And now again, we all have to deal with weaponization of food. Actually, before full-scale invasion in Ukraine by Russia in 2022, Ukraine played, as we all know, a significant role in the world wheat, corn and barley export, accounting actually 10, 15 and 13% of the respective market. Therefore, for nobody of us was surprised that Russian tactics was also to block our Black Sea ports. And actually, the Navy blocked around 20 million tons, not only what they did, that it caused not only financial damage to Ukraine, but what it caused big food crises all over the world, especially in the African countries and in the Middle East. And what we had in the reality, actually we had around 50 million of people in 45 countries were just one step from famine. And we are also discussing war in Ukraine and their global implication, and we have to deal with global food crisis. And we all together have react how to deal with it. And I would like to emphasize one more that this food crisis was not only byproduct of the war, but very good calculated move by Russian Federation and how to destroy our economy, how to create this world disorder all around the world. But we all remember time when it was this initial blockade 1.5 years ago, but thanks to very strong international support and active position of our government, we succeeded to start the Black Sea Grain Initiative, and it actually helped to resolve this global food crisis, of course, for a while, because during 1 year when this initiative was alive, we succeeded between July 22 and July 23 to send over 1,000 ships in African country and in the Middle East. And actually it was absolutely right and on time steps, because we resolve this crisis and we show that if all international allies can act accordingly, we can find solution. But it was good. But in 1 year after this, Russia, as usual, changed mind, and they decided to block this initiative. Again, all world was before another wave of global food crisis. But again, thanks international partners and our government, we succeeded to establish humanitarian corridor, and still our ships continue to bring food all over the world. But it became more complicated because, again, risk of being shelled is very high. And of course, when we speak about food shipment, we have to deal with private businesses. And again, the big question is insurance, how to deal with insurance, what to do. And you know better than me that it's very complicated questions to give insurance during the war. But as for now, it looks like we found also the solution because global insurance broker Marsh McLennan, which works together with Ukrainian government, also with Ukr-Eximbank, Ukrgazbank, and the Z-Bank, they found partially solution. Actually, they introduced Unity, a new insurance setup. What does it mean? In reality, it means that Lloyd's of London insurance are on board and offering around $50 million for whole and P&I war risk insurance. The risk is shared actually between Ukrainian government and also insurance company. And in the reality, Ukr-Eximbank and Ukrgazbank are issuing standby letters of credit. So it's a solution which was found as for now, but again, I would like to emphasize that we all together have to look for another solution. So as for now, the situation is that we currently can safeguard our humanitarian corridor, but Russians continue to destroy our port infrastructure, grain storage, and from time to time also cargo vessels. So again, we need to work more on finding a good solution for everyone, because when we speak about food crisis, it's not only about Ukraine, it's about global situation all over the world. And I'm more than sure that if Russia will continue to create damage for food in over the world, we Ukrainians will continue to work on the solution with all our alliances of this.
Thank you for explaining the context, and I would move now to Taras Kachka, Deputy Minister of Economy. He is joining us online, and I want to ask you, Mr. Kachka, how is it to work in this context, because basically it's your job.
Yeah, so first of all, thank you for this. I think that Svitlana already shared some insights of our work, of our government, but I would like to say that to add additional context to the food security and regional policy, because I think that we are already like 2 years in a situation when Russia tries to destroy global food systems by its aggression against Ukraine, and it directly impact the Black Sea region in general, so and particular Ukraine and Romania. So in 2022, it was like very big shock related to the blockade of seaports in Ukraine, and you know that for Ukraine, so for what is like important in terms of role of Ukraine is not only the big volume of harvest, but as well the very efficient logistics. So between these cereals from fields by railways to Ukrainian seaports and then globally. So that's we export wheat to 65 countries and sunflower oil into 130 countries around the globe. So this is really global impact. So in 2022, it was initial shock, and we really got a lot of support from EU and EU member states, and particularly Romania. In 2023, we already work on the export of the harvest that was sowed and planted during wartime. So that's and the first good news is that Ukrainian agriculture continued to be efficient, and the forecast for the production of grains in Ukraine is very positive. It's despite all the losses in terms of occupation of territories, destruction of agricultural companies, we will have together the classical grains, so wheat, corn, and barley, and oil seeds like rape seeds and soya beans and sunflower seeds. So the harvest will be around 80 million tons, of which almost 60 million tons will be available for export. So in terms of production, we are really maintained to be a very active player in global food security. And as well, the same applies to Romania, where we see that, and we're really glad that Romanian production of grain is growing as well, and Romania is becoming more and more important player in the regional Black Sea trade in grain. And together, we are like natural stakeholder in global food security policy, and it also is enforced or supported by cooperation between Ukraine and Romania in terms of improvement of logistics. So that's what we have now is a so-called Quad, Ukraine, Romania, the European Union and the United States, on improvement in logistics by railway to Romanian ports and also for the Danube Delta, on increasing the capacity of export through the Danube Delta of grains. That will help as well regionally, because it's directly, this is a help to Ukraine. And we're really glad that we have significant improvements in terms of railway logistics, in terms of 24 hours navigation in the Danube Delta channels, in increasing the capacity of Constanța by opening new anchor stations that allows board-to-board transshipment of grains from barges to bigger vessels. So all these combine our efforts together in terms of playing more active role in food security, despite the Russian deliberate aggression against food security. And now we as well together face this aggression in terms of Russia targeting the new port infrastructure by their shellings with Shahid. So that's what we face now is almost everyday shellings of river ports in the Danube Delta, and we also, this is like direct negative impact on Romania defense, because it's like next bank, and we already have example where when Russian Shahids actually fell to the territory of Romania. So that's why for us the food security here, the food security challenge is first of all a defense matter, because we need to protect our port infrastructure, because it's not only blockade anymore, it's like deliberate attempt to destroy. So that's why the number one priority is a physical protection of our common infrastructure that's from Russian shellings. So the next big thing, of course, is ensuring the proper and free navigation in Black Sea. And as Svitlana already mentioned, we are working with a global insurance community on decreasing the cost of influence of destruction of vessels or shipments in Ukrainian territorial waters, and we are quite advanced on this. So we already see that the mechanism we envisaged impacts prices on insurance, and they are decreasing, and we are glad that this advancement can take place. But as well, we see that the very rapid attack of Russia on Ukraine in 2022 also creates a lot of challenges for us, because the change of because their blockade of Ukrainian ports led to the very drastic change of trade routes from our Ukrainian ports to neighboring member states, including Romania. And of course, this very drastic change of trade routes creates certain concerns for domestic farmers, for Romanian farmers, for Bulgarian farmers, for Polish farmers. And this is like indirect impact on our unity as well. So that's why we really appreciate how Romanian government reacted to these challenges, and due to the possibility to maintain really good dialogue and trusted dialogue between Ukrainian and Romanian governments, we managed all these concerns and all these, let's say, problems that eventually can impact Romanian farmers, because our goal is not just like to sell anywhere, but to coordinate our actions and export to the markets where grain is mostly needed. And that's why I think that we need to take into account that the experience of our bilateral cooperation and regional cooperation in the Black Sea also changed the centers of gravitation in the Black Sea, so that our common efforts, Ukrainian and Romanian efforts, are actually promoting us to the most important, let's say, like combined actor in regional food security and also global food security, because you know that Turkey depends a lot on supply of wheat, and also the North American states, so Middle East and North Africa is also the region that depends on supply of wheat, and we cannot allow the aggressor also to profit from its aggression and to take over our shares on the markets, especially taking into account that it is impossible. So what Russia actually illustrated, that despite even the good harvest of wheat in Russia, it cannot just satisfy the demand, and it cannot behave like a really guarantor of food security. So that's why our policy is in terms of ensuring the stability of supply and the solidarity between Ukraine and Romania in the Black Sea, like creates clear opposite positions on how food security should be resolved. If for Russia this is a matter of political pressure on the world, saying that we will destroy all supplies of grain and we will try to blackmail African states that the only source of purchase of wheat is Russia. And our approach is to have stable, predictable, and a very trusted food systems and supply of food to the vulnerable markets, both by commercial means and also with additional support, like our projects Grain from Ukraine, where we send several shipments of grain to the most vulnerable markets. So this difference is extremely political. It's not only about the stability of food supply, it's also the clear vision of future. So while we together within the European Union and region, we promote the real work on achievement of sustainable development goals like eradication of poverty. Russia actually creates a new understanding of food security in terms of hunger games, and this as well also creates some implication even for humanitarian law, because in humanitarian law the issue of hunger and food security is usually targeted on the territories that are under siege, and it was Ukraine under siege, under blockade of seaports. But the impact on food security is not for Ukraine in this case, but for the outer world, for third states. So that's why it will definitely impact the discussions on future of humanitarian law and what it means, what it means the illegal use of force in terms of impact on third states, not only on direct subject of aggression. So that's why I think that we already for these 2 years have a lot of experience in terms of how to deal with this matter, and the figures shows that we are not giving up in the face of all challenges, and the example of our, let's say, cooperation between Ukraine and Romania with support of the EU and the United States shows how the world can maintain the civilized approach to the ensuring the global food security. Thank you.
Thank you as well. Domnule Salameh, ministrul
Mr. Salameh, the Ukrainian minister has mentioned several aspects, but I will just refer to two. He said that the harbor and transport infrastructure is attacked with Shahed drones produced in Iran, in a country in the Middle East. Country attacks grain transport to Africa and Middle East, and grain coming from Ukraine to Romania, and we stop only in Romania, although the same situation happens in the neighboring countries, impacts the production of Romanian farmers. You are a businessman. Do you think that we are creative enough to overcome these situations? So far we were, but will it work on the long run? I think that we have to admit that it's an issue of our neighbor. Romania has to handle this, but without impacting us, because Romania, our country, is a large producer of cereals. What happened? Well, grain has been weaponized that has not been used by the Russians. As the situation on grains is put today, I think that Ukraine needs its neighbors to help Ukraine and to take over management. Today, a grain hub is better placed in Romania to have better control regarding the foreign export, so that than in Ukraine. Let's not forget that the Russians in Middle East, in Africa, can influence the countries not to purchase from Ukraine, but they can't forbid them from buying from Europe, that is Romania. And this is why our neighbors have to understand that they have to take over the management of this crisis. In Romania, we help them with transport, transit, but this is not a solution. And something else. Globally, panic somehow is among us. When prices go way high in our area, they want to do this for grain as well. So if they see that the prices double here, they are going to want to sell grain here in Romania, in our area. And that is how you create this interest. It's a chaos today with fluctuating prices. So it's a global trader's interest to sell a commodity here and to be taken further to other countries, or for them to go to Africa and say, don't buy from Romania, do buy from myself because I'm X from country Y. So it's a chaos, a global chaos, that Russians fund, and they will continue to do this because this is what they've done all their life. It's nothing new. So I communicate with my government in Romania. If they find a solution, couple of millions of tons to be turned into other raw materials, to be ready. If they enter our region, the price will decrease, and it's going to be an issue for our farmers. This is a financial burden that no one wants. If something is missing and the prices go increase significantly, then the people are going to say there's nothing left to eat. So in Romania, you have to create a grain management hub, not just a transit. What I'm speaking with the government today, I have a solution with 6 million tons to control them to be turned when needed in other raw materials, not just flour or something else, other strategic raw materials or matters that the Russians can't do, and we can work with them, and we can force countries not to buy grain, but to buy the other grain-related products that the Russians can't produce. So we can set a condition: if you want this, you have to. If you want to buy this, you have to buy grain for us as well. So I think that our Ukrainian friends and neighbors are facing a difficult situation. They, gather them in one place, collect them, and that these might be attacked by drones. So they have to move to Romania. They have to move these grains to Romania, and this is what Romania should manage.
Again, specifically to Odessa, Mr. Sergiy Kononenko, do you agree with this solution of Romania taking over the management of the Ukrainian grain in order to sell them for the rest of the world?
Доброго дня, шановні учасники. Так,
Hello, dear participants. Indeed, I agree with the idea of with the previous speaker. Thank you, New Strategy Center, personally to Mr. Scutaru and all speakers. Yesterday and today, we've discussing actively an issue on food security. We understand the role that Romania has, that the European countries have. Thank you, all European states and the US helping us financially with weapons to face challenges. These days, a decision will be made if the European Parliament will greenlight the negotiation process for the accession to the EU for Ukraine and the Republic of Moldova. This really brings us great joy, and we hope it's positive because it's a positive answer, because it's very important to us. At the regional level, cross-border level, the bilateral three-side collaboration is very important, and this is really felt all over, and that is why the Regional Development Agency of Odesa, that was set up at wartime, has the duty to draft the strategy of the Odesa region and to draw up action plans. Of course, the topic of this panel is of interest to us because the transport system has an important key place and role in the economic development and in securing Ukraine's providing Ukraine's food security. In 2021, Odesa provided 20% of the commodities or grain and other food products to the world. So the Black Sea export is very important. Attacking the road and harbor infrastructure has brought a bottleneck to exports and led to an increase in prices for wheat, for sunflower seeds, corn, and so on. Nonetheless, in 2023, we exported through our Danube-based ports quite a high amount, and volumes nearing 2021. Transporting grains through Danube harbors is increasing, although the activity of the harbors is under threat. We want over 20 million tons of commodities per year in Danube-based harbors. We need securities for maritime and so sea and river transport, because the farmers need safety. I think that these tools should be covered by financial foreign institutions and partner states from the West. We are trying alternative means of transport, such as rail. We are trying to develop, to create logistics hubs that are very necessary, as mentioned. Developing the Danube cluster, modernizing crossing points that were attacked by the Russians, rebuilding a railway. All of these will allow Ukraine, and especially Odesa, to provide food security and safe exports to partner countries. All these measures are already part of the plans to the reconstruction of Ukraine set by the government. The agency that I represent has a key role in implementing these projects. We plan on setting up PPPs. We are on a platform that allows communication between the business environment, public institutions, external partners. So we invite you to set up partnerships to solve global issues. And if we have solutions, we will defeat our enemy. Thank you for your attention.
KONONENKO, because I saw behind you a flag of Romania joined with the flag of Ukraine. And I want to ask you, do you think if Odesa, God forbid, but if Odesa will not be functional, I'm talking now about the port, you can manage without the help of Romania?
Well, absolutely. Without the support of our external partners, it will be more difficult for us to defeat our enemy, but with the help of our partners, we will do it. We are convinced in our victory. We trust our partners. That is why we are sure we're going to win soon.
The food, and hunger is the worst weapon in the world. I can say that. They are as well involved in what we call food diplomacy, because of course, food being a weapon, we also have the effect, the diplomacy. Since the alliance is helping Ukraine to survive this war, to fight this war, do you think having the problem now, the level of the alliance, the support for Ukraine, we see it's decreasing, and we have to see it because it's real. Do you think it will decrease as well when it comes to the food diplomacy?
What have we seen during the almost 2 years of war? That the international diplomacy is very active, and you're absolutely right that now we're speaking not only about classical diplomacy, but food diplomacy became also priority for for Ukraine, for my country, and also for alliances, because all world is interconnected. Yeah, war in Ukraine caused a lot of problem in Africa and in the Middle East. And as Mr. SALAMEH mentioned, we all need to work in it and to find solution. Either it will be hub in Romania, or how to deal with prices on the grain and all other products in all other countries. Because we all remember, like last year, we couldn't ship our grain abroad. Food prices absolutely increased. After grain initiative was founded, food prices decreased. So it's all about prices. And of course, we understand that Russia has very good connection with Africa, historically good connection with African countries, with Eastern countries. And of course, they can influence their behavior. And again, we have to deal with diplomacy. As for now we work with African countries, with Global South became priority for Ukrainian government and for other European governments as well, because to tell the truth, we really underestimate a role of Global South in general for Ukraine and for the world. And Russia very effectively worked at that regions for many, many years. And now we have to be quick, we have to be smart and start to get more allies on our sides, also in African countries, in Latin America, in the Middle East.
Minister Kachka, I would like to ask you, because besides the problem you expose here, you also have a problem with people. Perhaps the people are no longer eager to cultivate the land. Maybe some of them are dead because of the war. Some of the land is mined and so on, all sorts of problems. And of course, we have to keep in mind the destroyed infrastructure. Do you have any solutions to this? Will Ukraine be able to produce as much?
Thank you for the question. Of course, the level of challenges is enormous for Ukrainian agriculture. I think that currently the biggest problem is the financial situation of Ukrainian farmers. Because of the relatively low prices globally that also impact the farmers in Romania. We have additional pressure on the price for farmers related to logistics. So that's why we unfortunately afraid that the next year there will be more cases of bankruptcies against among farmers. Because of the very low price they receive, like domestically in Ukraine, because in addition to the low prices, global low prices, we as well, like our farmers, are forced to discount because of lack of access to proper logistics. So that's why we really make a lot of efforts on ensuring that the transportation of grain has affordable price that will allow our farmers to continue their operation. So, but at the end, meanwhile, I think that all farmers are already conscious about the challenges they have, and they already illustrated their interest to continue their operation this year. And indeed, we have a lot of like several hundreds of thousand hectares that are potentially contaminated, and we are trying to help farmers to with technical and non-technical survey of these lands in order to release it for normal function, because these lands are potentially contaminated. Not all of the fields are contaminated with mines. So that's why we are together trying to ensure that the demining process will last less than expected, take into account that the enormous size of the problem. But generally speaking, I think that we have like moderate optimism in terms of further operation of Ukrainian agriculture, because we already adjusted ourselves to the shocks of war, and now we see that with proper support of our partners, we can manage these challenges, and we also see that the interest of global markets to Ukrainian products is still strong, so that we see slight improvements in terms of logistics. So that's why our farmers will continue their work. However, indeed, the forthcoming several years will be extremely difficult for them, because in reality, what is happening is that all these challenges must be absorbed by farmers, and government can do something in terms of resolving these challenges, but from economic point of view, our farmers will be under additional pressure in comparison with farmers in the regions. Thank you.
Domnule Salameh, a spus mai devreme
Mr. Salameh, you mentioned earlier that the Russians are doing something best to destabilize. We know this historically. Why would they stop from destabilizing, given that they keep weaponizing food and others? Why would they stop from doing this, given that this puts extra pressure to those that support Ukraine, so to the civilized world, let's call it? Well, Russians didn't stop, they continue. They find various methods, but if they find a country that Ukraine sells to and they say stop buying, or they dump prices, or using Iran drones that they hit after Ukrainian farmers' work daily, and then they attack, they blow everything up. A government in any country can influence a private firm to go and lose money unless the state guarantees something. So you have to guarantee. We know very well. Look what happened in the US in 2008 when the crisis hit. They went to the president at that time. They didn't accept the bankruptcy. So these will not be secure. That's why I maintain my position that Romania has to take over grain management and to speak with insurance companies and to do on behalf of Romania to bring in products from Ukraine with the farmers, and that's how we can send people or agricultural machines to help. So the Russians are just waiting on the proper time. They do this elegantly, surgical precision. They let the people work, and then they boom, they blow them up. They blow up all their work. So everyone wants to help Ukraine. I, as a group, haven't stopped of sending money monthly and helping Ukraine. But this stops at some point, and you have to go further. As the grain issue is covered, I think, in my opinion, as Nawaf SALAMEH is wrong, and we have to be smarter than the Russians that today are destroying the image of Ukraine. You didn't mention the Middle East, where Russians have a great influence. Egypt is no longer buying from Ukraine because they have a word to say, not to mention in other countries, Syria and others, where Russians are there, or Iranians, or in the Gulf. So this continues. So you have to negotiate. You have to negotiate properly. You can't really influence how I negotiate with my Ukrainian neighbor. This is how I see it. Maybe it's wrong. I travel a lot monthly, and I see how things look like.
As well, if anyone wants to address a question, please, over there. I think you should go to the mic.
Thank you for the presentations again. Normally, I didn't want to take the floor, but it's about food security. You have not mentioned much about the role of Turkey, which in fact secured with the United Nations this Black Sea grain deal, which enabled Ukraine to export 33 million metric tons of grain in less than a year. We are still working on different solutions. Of course, we don't advertise what we do all the time. Actions speak louder than words. In this context, I think you should think about the insurance part of the maritime transportation. As long as this war continues and attacks continue, there is no way insurance companies will be able to insure the ships. The Black Sea grain deal was not about only exportation of Ukraine grain. It was also protection of sea lanes, protection of sea ports of Ukraine. So I think the only solution is, again, a negotiation with Russia, maybe not direct, we can help you. Maybe UN and some others, Romania can also get involved. The only solution, in my opinion, humble opinion, is a negotiated deal with Russia. So how do you see this proposition? Thank you.
Thank you, Svitlana.
Since this morning, we started our hard discussions that's impossible to negotiate a deal with Russia, because we all know what is going to happen when you started to negotiate a deal with Russia. Thanks to Turkey, we negotiated this global grain initiative, and what's happened in 1 year, Russia withdrew this grain initiative. Yes. If you start to negotiate something with Russia, and in reality, Russia tries to win only time. That's it, what's happened. So we Ukrainians, we don't believe that we can seriously negotiate a deal with Russia. Sorry for saying this. But we're really grateful for all support we are getting for Turkey.
And I also would like to ask Minister Kachka to answer the same question.
Yeah, thank you for this question. I think that it actually hints me that we neglect to some extent one of the core element of food security for Ukraine, and Ukrainian peace formula promoted by President Zelensky. And here we have like a paragraph 2 or point 2 of this 10 points formula, the food security. And we really appreciate the role of Turkey as a leader of the working group on this particular topic, and we definitely appreciate the attempt to deliver on this paragraph. However, I think that we understand that Russia, while being a participant of solution on Black Sea grain initiative, unfortunately already illustrated that it cannot be a trusted partner there. So it is not only about Black Sea grain initiative. You can as well check on the change of commercial role of Russia in global world, that almost every global trader and international trader left Russia voluntarily from their market because of the level of corruption there and the total lack of transparency. But I think that it means that we need to concentrate on ensuring free navigation and stable navigation in the Black Sea, without begging Russia to participate in this. Unfortunately, Russia plays under the danger their own goods in the Black Sea, because their Shaheds and all their and rockets and missiles, they actually influence also their own vessels, navigation of their own vessels, because the danger exists everywhere. So that's why it's better to coordinate our efforts between other coastal states of Black Sea, so Ukraine, Romania, Bulgaria, and Turkey, and we can ensure the freedom of navigation in the western part of Black Sea by our own cooperation. And we already see the possibility for this, because in November we see that export of goods from Ukraine by sea increased almost by 70%. And we see that insurance community as well trusts the security of these navigation routes that we have in the Black Sea. But just like to conclude on this, I want to reiterate once again that indeed Turkey is one of key promoter of food security work in the peace formula of President Zelensky, and since this work is getting more and more intense and more constructive, we will rely on your coordinating role for this particular point, take into account all the developments we discussed previously in this panel, and not only in this panel, but our other forums as well. Thank you.
Thank you. I think we all can agree that Turkey is a very practical country and a very strong negotiator in general. But there are these two approaches, let's say, when it comes to the war in Ukraine, the war that Russia started in Ukraine. One side says, let's negotiate. Maybe it's a way to end this war. And of course, Ukrainians, with those that are backing them, say, we have to liberate our country. Of course, you are Ukrainian, so it's very subjective, the answer, Svitlana, but looking at reality, what do you think should be the way?
Looking at the reality, we are 2 years already at the war. And of course, our goal is to end this war, but our goal is also to get back all our territories. Because as for now, 18% of territory of Ukraine is occupied. What is going to happen further, we don't know. We fight for our freedom, we fight for our country, but I would like to emphasize that also we are fighting for freedom all our neighboring country. Because if we don't stop Russia, Russia will not stop only at Ukrainian territory. Russia will move forward. And then it will become more expensive for Europeans to continue to fight with Russia, but already not on Ukrainian territories, but on European territories. It's a big risk which everyone can understand nowadays. It's why we all as Ukrainians understand that we can secure and guarantee our security only being member of NATO. But we also are not dreamer. We are really very realistic person. We understand what does it mean realpolitik. And as for now, we came with solution to have bilateral security guarantees, and it means that we want to sign bilateral legally binding agreements with countries all over the world. What does it mean in practice? In practice, it means that we will agree bilaterally with countries that they will continue to support armed forces of Ukraine in means of equipment, of air defense system, in means of conducting training. In reality, it means what is happening now, but if you have legally binding agreement, it means that it can happen on time and you can predict what is going to happen. Next part of the agreement, it will be, of course, economic support of Ukraine, because it's a key issue for Ukraine and for Ukrainians to continue a fight. And here we speak not only about support in terms of money, but also about reconstruction, rebuilding of Ukraine, and also about creating opportunities, but not only for Ukraine, but for our allies, because each crisis is about crisis, but also about opportunities. And of course, part of the agreement is going to be modernization of defense system of Ukraine. It's not going to happen within 1 year or 2 weeks. We understand it's a very big, complex issue. But I described what we expect for our partners from our allies, but it's legally binding agreement between two sides. And Ukraine has also its own obligation. First of all, we confirm that we will be ready to contribute to security of our partners' countries. Of course, we got unbelievably big experience in conducting a real war. Yeah? It's not on the questions that it's a real biggest war in nowadays. So we confirm that we will continue all reforms which is needed for development of our countries. We also confirm that rule of law should be main basis of development of Ukraine. So we see, as coming back to your initial question, at the end of this, we hope that this war will end soon, and we will get bilateral security guarantees, and in the future we will become NATO member states, because military alliance can guarantee security of the countries.
Mr. Kononenko, you represent the region of Odesa, and Odesa is as well of interest for Russian because they simply want to cut Ukraine's access to the Black Sea. Ukraine lost already some ports. Odesa is still standing, and let's hope it will still stand. What will Ukraine without exit at the Black Sea mean in terms of everything what Ukraine does? Do we still have Mr. Kononenko? Nope, we don't. So, Minister Kachka, can you answer this question? Do we need to repeat it?
Yeah, please, make a clear accent, yes, on your question.
I was asking what if the Russia will cut Ukraine all the access to the Black Sea? What will happen then?
I think that we already faced the situation in first months of Russian aggression. So that's it was quite damaging for the globe, and because I think that let's also take into account that. How it works, that the actual blockade of seaports means that 1/10 of international trade in grains is cut out of market, and it means it's like immediate shock for global prices. This is what happens the spring last year, so in March and April. But at the same, so we already went through this situation when Russia blockade all Ukrainian seaports. So now, with almost 2 years of experience of fighting against this situation, I might say that so we can speculate on this kind of scenario, but we already have enormous knowledge and also absolutely new quality of cooperation with our partners, because in March 2022 all our exports, so that what we need to remember and like a lessons learned, that Ukraine never gave up on exporting its products. So no one said that we are just sitting and we are not exporting. So everyone rushed to our western border, to border between Ukraine and Romania, Moldova, Hungary, Slovak Republic, Poland, and we really glad that we managed to use all the opportunities at that time. But since that time, we really improved a lot in terms of railway logistics, in terms of Constanța seaport capacity, and we really know how to continue export under any circumstances. But what is really promising and important is the change of security situation, because of due to the successes of Ukrainian armed forces with support of partners, with supplying of necessary equipment, we managed to ensure that Black Sea Fleet is actually present most in eastern part of the Black Sea, and it allows us to continue navigation. So it means that we are not depend on the grace of Russia in terms of freedom of navigation. And it is important for all coastal states of the Black Sea. So that's that we cannot simply all like Georgia, Turkey, Bulgaria, Romania, Ukraine. So we cannot depend on grace of Russia for freedom of navigation in the Black Sea. And the fact that we did it by our oppression against this blockade, by our active military actions in terms of pressing, squeezing Russian fleet out of at least western part of the Black Sea is our common success, and we need to remember and further develop this kind of success, because the blockade of Ukrainian seaports negatively impacts not only Ukraine but also all regions, all countries in the region. Thank you.
Domnule Salameh, o să apelez din
Mr. Salameh, I will get back to your entrepreneurial spirit and ask you the same question. If we look at this black scenario, Ukraine without access to the Black Sea, what would that mean for the Black Sea trade and security? A strong presence of Russia and the rest of NATO countries and Georgia. I believe Russia has been working from the very beginning on this. This has been Russia's target, to block the Black Sea, and they will keep trying because they want to lead, to rule over the Black Sea and have all other Black Sea countries dependent on Russia. So this is action against us and Turkey and Bulgaria. And I believe this is very serious, and in my opinion, we are not ready to change, to shift transport from Ukraine to the railway transport or road transport to other countries. So, in my opinion, we don't have preventive solutions ready yet. We keep hoping. Well, I understand very well Ukrainians because they had been previously fooled by other countries, but I believe now they no longer want to, because they suffered and they lost tens of thousands of people. I don't believe they are willing to accept the solution proposed by our friends from Turkey to discuss with an aggressor that meant sacrificing thousands of lives in their country. I don't think they will want to accept that, or if they do, that's their own problem, but nobody should force them to accept this. However, we need to help them think of preventing solutions that should be applied instead of waiting for a catastrophe to happen and then react. I think this is what is missing in the solution to this problem. Ukraine needs to work on a plan B and apply it so that Russia will be deterred, because they will keep attacking always in any methods, especially with drones, chasing trucks and so on. They will do that, but they must work on preventive solutions. Today, I see discussing about insurance companies or insurance in Ukraine. There is no insurance or guarantees. The country is at war. We can help you, but you need to be strong in order to be helped. Because if you are weak, you will weaken me. So I need you to be strong to help you. Svitlana.
We are ending it soon. I want to also end it with you to have the conclusion of our panel here. Do you think that European Union did enough so far in terms of food security, in terms of helping Ukraine to remain strong?
Actually, since the start of the war, European Union reacted very quickly and provided really a lot of support to Ukraine as a union and also as a member state. In terms of security, of course, in terms of food security, we got, of course, support from the European Union by taking into account all the risks we are facing now. We really hope on deepening our cooperation with European Union, and also we are also very much looking forward on the decision about opening negotiation with Ukraine, and we hope that it will be a positive decision.
We all hope that. Well, after a panel about food, I think it's good. It's time for everyone to go to lunch. Enjoy. Thank you.